I want to share with you guys what Jason Whitlock's perspective was on Jemele Hill. All right. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all of the super chats. I appreciate you. Let's continue the show and get into it.
No, no, no. I'm not
Yes,
gonna
she
let you
was.
enter that.
Come on, she was
No, she was.
fairly successful. Fairly.
Steve, I want to get to a topic I think you have some interest in.
And shout out to Steve. I heard Steve gave me a shout out saying that I was one of the leaders, the great content creators that he loves to rock out with. I appreciate you. And shout out to Jason Whitlock also, pulling up on a show and showing some love. Shout out to all of the great content creators. I appreciate you guys.
I know you're upset by this. Spotify has declined to renew Jemele Hill's podcast deal. What's her? Yeah, unbothered. It's not going to be returning to Spotify. Are you bothered by this?
So let me stop right there, right? The beautiful thing about content creation is that it doesn't matter about how you feel. So a lot of times we get caught up and we talk about how we need everybody to justify how we feel. That is a plague within the communities. It's not even just the black community, but it's poor people too, right? And what happens is the numbers don't lie. So I'll give you an example. In the beginning of the show yesterday, I said, I don't really give a fuck about the competition because there's nothing that they can do about it. They're not going to outperform me. They're not going to outwork me. They're not going to make more money than me. They're not going to have better numbers than me. I'm going up to the moon, right? I got a greater network. I'm just better than you, right? I don't give a fuck about the competition. If it's anybody that's ahead of me, I'm going to chase you down and I'm going to catch you. If it's anybody that's behind me, I'm going to make sure I keep my foot on your neck, right? And here's the beautiful thing about it. I looked at some of the responses that people were sending me in my Instagram and stuff like that, and people were mad. Oh, Anton, I thought you said it wasn't no beef. It ain't no beef. Beef is real life. I'm talking about competition when it comes to the numbers and producing on a regular basis. And here's the reality. Here's the reality. The numbers don't lie. The watch hours don't lie. Listen, I told y'all over the weekend on Fight Club, I said, listen, and we're going to get to this Jemele Hill thing, and it's the reason why I'm breaking this down for y'all. I said, look, somebody's Sunday show is so fucking trash that they can't even get 150 people in there to watch it consistently at any time. That's a fact. That's not me talking. It ain't no beef. It ain't nothing. It's just competition when it comes to content creation. This is the lane that we in. I said, watch what Q do. Q on Monday was shitting on what was happening on Thursdays. Better content, prettier people, men that actually stand on their square, women that move a certain type of way. Q alone is fucking better than the entire thing of what they doing over there. So then people gonna send me a DM and say and get butthurt. How you gonna get butthurt? The numbers is telling the truth. What the fuck you gonna do about it? If anything, get your big man energy up and then fucking compete. Because just because you feel it don't mean that we gotta acknowledge it. Right? This ain't no talking about people personal in real life. This ain't talking about somebody's kids or something like that. We talking about content creation. And similar to what's happening in Jemele Hill, listen, they gave a lot of these deals out to these people just because they was associated with a certain person, or they were associated with a certain network, or with ESPN, or their former background, or they know a bunch of people in the industry. But when it comes to your time to be able to produce and actually put out good content, so Spotify said, no, not interested. We're going to stick with Joe Rogan. We're not going to give you no whole bunch of money. We're going to refuse to do it. And so this is the thing that Jason Whitlock is pointing out. Enough of running in the Victim Olympics. If you that good, then show it. If you that good, that's why I can't say anything negative about Fresh and Fit. I can't say, because even though I don't necessarily care for the content because I am not their target demographic, The reality is that they're better than a lot of people, and their numbers regularly show it. It's just a fact. I'm never going to hate on a person that's doing numbers. When you good, you just good. Now, some people didn't recognize how great Q was. I was, because I'm able to spot it. And so I don't let my feelings determine what it is that I see from a good person as far as their ability to be able to compete. So when other people was gawking and sucking the titties, and I'm speaking figuratively, when they jocking other people because they friends with them and all of this other type of shit, I'm like, man, y'all fucking out of y'all mind. Q the only person on this bitch that can produce. She the smartest person. She the best looking one. She actually is more loyal, and she about that life. And so now I said, Q, you mine's forever. I'm just telling you the truth. I said, Q, you mine's forever. And you know what she responded? And she said, I am yours forever. I said, I'm never letting you go. I'm never letting you go. I told her, I said, I'm never letting you go. And she said, never. Loyalty, boy. You don't know nothing about this life. I'm never letting you go. I'm never letting you go. I'm never letting you escape. Never. If you don't like what she's doing, then compete against her. Now, don't listen. I'm out of the question. I'm 100% out of the question. You're going to have to go through her to even get to me. These niggas can't even fuck with Q. How they going to fuck with me? You know what I'm saying?
Is it Spotify or not a fi? Because they weren't bothered to go on with this. I got to tell you about Jemele Hill. I got to tell you about old Jay Hill. Jay Hill would be like if Nathaniel Hackett, especially when it comes to her TV, because she was a fairly successful writer. But
No, I'm
yes,
not going to let you into that.
Come on, she was fairly successful. Fairly.
Steve.
What?
Steve.
What?
If you and I got an argument about liquor stores in black neighborhoods or cleaners in black neighborhoods, I would defer to you.
I would be the guy. I would be the guy.
Yeah,
yes,
I would defer to you. When it comes to sports writing, you should defer to me. Continue.
Okay, and I just want to add this. Hey, put down that orange juice. Okay, anyway, so here's the thing.
Yo, shout out to Jason Whitlock. He be calling it like it is. Steve is over there trying to be amicable because he's a nice guy. Jason is like, listen, I ain't trying to hear none of that. It was whack. It was whack. And a lot of women content creators are whack. Let's just be honest.
So as a television personality.
Hey, y'all send me that Zion Williamson story. I want to see that. Just email it to me, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com.
It would be like Nathaniel Hackett after last year getting another 3 or 4 NFL head coaching jobs. So that brings to mind, she's like Paul Hackett. Remember Paul Hackett used to ruin all these programs because he was the quarterback coach for Joe Montana. A real difficult job there, right? I get to hide behind Bill Walsh, and I had a guy, number 16 was pretty good, and he ended up getting like the big-time Chiefs job. He ran Pitt, head coach at USC. It is amazing. Jemele Hill should be the new Webster's or Urban Dictionary for failing upward. I mean, you just look at the opportunities that she's been given at ESPN, and they tried to do that really interesting version of SportsCenter. That failed. That was an absolute flop. And now she's trying to play a game of semantics where she says, I really wasn't fired and there's stuff going on. Look, at the end of the day, when she absolutely dared Spotify to give me or someone else a $100 million deal like Joe Rogan, Spotify said, double dare, you're out of here. So,
and that's the truth. Because listen, women, especially black women, they are the queens of failing upward. They are the queens of the Victim Olympics. They are usually the ones that leverage their double minority privilege, if you want to call it that, in order to justify and steal money. They steal money They steal opportunities, and it doesn't matter whether they produce or not, right? Nobody watches ESPN or nobody watched ESPN for Jemele Hill. You will never ever catch me listening to a Spotify episode of Jemele Hill. I don't want to hear Molly. I don't want to hear Jemele. I don't want to hear Malika. I don't want to hear any of them. We don't tune into those programs for them. Yet they still exist in men's spaces. They still fail upward, and they're still leveraging the idea that they are women and they are black, and so they need to be exalted and heralded as though the numbers don't matter. No, the numbers do matter. And so when you start to look at it, are they really producing, or are they really just existing and standing on the mountaintops that the men built for them? And so that's what I see being communicated right here.
She got what she asked for.
Yeah, she is the female version of Bomani Jones. She keeps failing upwards.
Failing upwards.
She's. I'm just sorry. I followed her sports writing career the whole night. She's never had a real accomplishment. She's all.
Shout out to Jason Whitlock for just calling it like it is. Jason Whitlock, in his calm tone and demeanor, said, shout out to Messy Mathematician, I love you. I'm about to go over to the dentist right after I get done with this show. He said, listen, at the end of the day, I've been following her and I've been paying attention to her, and she's less than stellar. She's failing upward. I've never heard anybody put it that way, but women often at times, especially ones that we herald the most, fail upward. I don't think that they really adding any value into the space. And you can see that as a result of what happened when Spotify said, listen, I'm not giving you no $100 million. Why would Spotify give Jemele Hill $100 million? That would be crazy.
She's always been given opportunities and promotions based on what she might do once they put her in this position. And she wasn't qualified to be a sports columnist. She was an average one in Orlando, and then there's a black woman writing a column in Orlando. Let's give her a job at ESPN. Average columnist at ESPN. Her and Michael Smith had a podcast. What was it? Numbers Never Lie, or whatever, or His and Hers, whatever it was. It was moderately successful.
Somebody says Zip with the Drip. Let's get to that. Shout out to Zip with the Drip. Zip with the Drip caught that L coming up against me, though. I don't know if y'all ever seen that. Go watch 10 Toes Down and go look at when I pulled up on Zip with the Drip. And we was both on there. Shout out to Zip with the Drip.
I'm stretching the word successful there. And then they got that 6 p.m. Sports Center, again, based off a theory of what she might do. And she blew that up and blew Michael Smith up in the process. It's rarely talked about how she destroyed his career as well. It's rarely talked about. Look, I'm no Jemele Hill fan, and so help us.
Shout out to Jason Whitlock for calling it like it is. I agree with him 100%. I think that Jemele Hill is incredibly overrated, as well as a lot of people. There's more women than men that are overrated, but I think that Jemele Hill is definitely over the hill. Tato Mills says, that's a fact. That's how I found you. Had to stun on him, big dog. But yeah, shout out to Jemele Hill for trying to finesse Spotify out of $100 million. Spotify was smart enough to hopefully have a man in there that said, wait a minute. I know you ain't about to give a black woman $100 million. That ain't Oprah. I know you ain't about to give a black woman $100 million. That ain't Rihanna. I know you ain't about to give a black woman that's $100 million that's not writing a book like Michelle Obama, because a lot of these women is way out of their league, and they are not as good as they think they are.